All right, guys. Um, I want to make sure that you can hear me and let me know if you guys can hear me or not. You guys know I've been having some issues um with hi. I've been having some issues. Okay, great. Y'all can hear me. All right, awesome. So you guys know I've been having some issues with my audio and I just wanted to make sure that you all could hear me fine. But if you can, um, great. All right. So I wanted to come quickly and give you an update about what's going on. So, hi again, everybody coming in. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Shonda. All right. So, you guys know I live in the Middle East. And so I wanted to come and update you because I've been saying that I was going to update you and I haven't, just because it's been a lot going on in the world. Before I get started, I just want to say to everyone who is out there, I really, really do hope that you're safe. I hope that your family is safe and just stay home, because I don't want any of us to catch anything, but it's all in God's hands. So, I'm going to tell you what's going on with me here in Kuwait, sort of an update. And I'm just checking my sound because I've never gone live at night. It's really morning. It's 3 a.m. here. I don't know what time it is for you guys. But anyway, so let's talk about it. The country shut down here actually about officially 2 weeks ago. The country shut down. So, what I mean by shut down is schools have been closed here. This is like the 3 weeks. Well, first, we were on spring break. My husband was on spring break. And so, while on spring break, they had already closed the schools down. And so, my husband hasn't been at work in about 3 weeks. And that's when the official quarantine kind of started. It was like after spring break. So after spring break, things started getting really, really crazy, like all around the world in countries everywhere. And we realized that he was not gonna be going back to school. And what happened from that point was they closed the schools down again indefinitely after spring break. So he was already out of work was it not? Well, they had a week for spring break. And so the school closed for 2 weeks while we were on spring break. And then after spring break, the government of Kuwait came back and said, okay, we're going to be out of school until further notice. And so that was for all schools in Kuwait. They do have public schools. I don't know a lot about the public schools here in Kuwait. I believe only Kuwaitis can go to public schools here. And there's private schools. And my husband teaches at a very prestigious, beautiful private school here. And so we realized, okay, you're going to be out of work, which is, it wasn't a big thing. We didn't think really much of it at the time. But then while we were out, you know, everything shut down. So then the movie theaters were closed, the restaurants started closing, and they gave everybody in the country a 2 week holiday. Most people with pay. Some people, obviously, We're not as fortunate to be off for 2 weeks without pay, but the restaurants are still open. We can order in and have everything delivered. In Kuwait, everything can be delivered. Like it's in America, I know there's like Uber Eats and stuff like that, but here, like literally everything could be delivered. There's not a restaurant that you can't get delivery from. It's very efficient. Um, it's we have multiple ordering delivery is just really huge out here. So all the restaurants are open. We can get food and currently the grocery stores are in stock. So there has been no hysteria here. The shelves are not empty. I mean, some the stores have been crowded, don't get me wrong, especially when they said that the schools were going to close and the restaurants were closing and the movie theaters were closing and the malls were closing. Then everybody kind of got like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Because Kuwait is a country that has more expats than Kuwaitis. So Kuwait is a oil rich country. It's a very wealthy country. It's not a poor country. It's not a country that's in debt. As a matter of fact, Kuwait just donated $40 million to the WHO organization, which I think stands for World Health Organization. $40 million. And that money obviously is going to contribute to other, and then they've donated to other Middle Eastern countries. And yeah, they donated for $40 million to who. So this is a very wealthy country. This is not a country like America that's in debt. You know, America's in debt. While America is definitely maybe ahead of time in technology, infrastructure, for sure. I would say if I were to compare the two countries, I would say America is definitely in the area of infrastructure and in the area of like technology. Yeah, America's killing it. But like I said, America is in debt. And that's always a huge issue. And Kuwait is not in debt, obviously, because they are an oil rich country. It's a wealthy country. For you know its citizens and the government, they do well out here. Let's put it that way. Hey, Roxy, I hope you are doing well, beautiful. All right, so there are new developments now. We are quarantined, not officially. It's not like some people are calling it a government quarantine, but I have not seen anything where the government is like, you can't step outside your apartment. But the government has told us to stay home. Everybody just needs to stay home. And they gave, like I said, they gave everybody a 2-week holiday. And then they came back and told us that schools are going to be shut down till August. So here in Kuwait, schools will not be reopening in April or May, like maybe we thought they would be opening. Schools will be closed until August. And then in August, the students will finish the rest of the school year from August to December. And I think in December, the new school year is going to start. So schools will be shut down here till August. Also, I am a resident of Kuwait. I am a legal resident of Kuwait. So when I first came to Kuwait, and I need to do a separate video about this, about immigration and what I've learned about immigration and how I don't support illegal immigration for a very specific reason after experiencing the process of trying to get my residency here in Kuwait. I was here for 2 years before I got my legal residency, which meant I was basically living on a tourist visa. My husband had a previous employer. My husband is like a contractor, so he's in a contract. And so his previous employer, we just had they wanted you to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to get me residency. And basically, here in the Middle East, a man can sponsor a woman, but a woman can't sponsor a man. The laws here are totally different than in the West. Okay. And so he could sponsor me. So that's why I'm over here living with him. And you can't like if you weren't married, a lot of people ask me, well, why is legal marriage so important? Well, if you have a man that could get a job abroad or overseas where it's going to help him reach his financial goals quicker and you're not married, well, you're not coming with him, or you're taking the risk of getting arrested because you can't live with a man here if you're not married to them. They don't do that out here in the Middle East. Okay, so that's one reason why legal marriage is important. You never know what heights your man may be going to, and you want to be the wife so you can go. And so here in the Middle East, there's no way I could live with him if I wasn't married to him. They don't do that out here. And if you're a woman, you can't sponsor a man, So um I was out here for like 2 years on a tourist visa. I was legal. I was able to legally be here, but I was on a tourist visa. And so finally, a couple of months ago, I was finally able to get my Kuwait residency, which I'm so excited about that. I'll show y'all my card when I do that video on residency and immigration and what I've learned about like immigration and why I don't support illegal immigration and why it's a very bad thing and how hard people have to work to go to different countries and become a legal resident there. And so in Kuwait, um it's not like America where you can become a citizen. Like you can't become a citizen of Kuwait. Like that can't happen here. I think if a Kuwaiti man marries a woman, um I don't know if she can become Kuwaiti. I'm not sure about the marriage laws. But I know that there's no like immigration where you can become a citizen in the Middle East. Like you can't just come over to the Middle East and like apply for citizenship. America extends so many pleasantries to people all over the world, and they open their doors to people all over the world. But in other countries, the door is closed unless you're here for a specific purpose. So in Kuwait, if you're not here to work, you probably are not going to get into this country. They're very particular about who they allow in the country, and it's a process, and you have to have a visa. Anybody can come visit before the coronavirus, like anybody can come visit. Well, not anybody. There are certain countries that uh cannot, but for the America was on the list. You can come from America and get a tourist visa or what have you, but um it's not like America in the sense like you can come over and try to be a citizen. Like no, that doesn't happen in the Middle East. So I'm a legal resident of Kuwait now, and I'm so excited about that because I love Kuwait. I love living here. I love the culture. I love how that's a different video, but I just really love living in Kuwait. And I love how the government has been handling this coronavirus outbreak. There is food. There's nobody robbing. Crime is very low here in the Middle East in general. Like the crime is like low, low, low. It's not a lot of crime. There is crime. There's crime everywhere, but it's like very, very small crime, and it's not violent crime usually. Um, there are different classes of workers that come to work here. You have your domestic workers, then you have, your professionals, like educators and different people who work in private sectors. And then you also have people, you have government here. There's a U.S. embassy here. And then you have a lot of people who are in the army. A lot of people think that my husband is in the army when I tell them I live in Kuwait, but no, we're not in the army. He's a contractor, essentially. He has a contract with a school out here. So, school is closed to August, and the airport is closed. So that brings me back to my point. I think a lot of people were worried. My mom was worried. Everybody was worried, like, oh, are y'all going to come home? But technically, I could have come home, but my husband, his job is here, so he couldn't just get up and go home because his job didn't release him to do so. They had to stay here and create curriculum and do things like that. No, I don't work in Kuwait. No. I'm essentially a stay-at-home wife, and I have my side hustles and online business that I do from home. I used to teach though. I taught for over a decade. So yeah, I am an educator, but I don't teach out here. So he had to be here to create curriculum and videos and do the different things that he had to do. So he couldn't leave the country anyway. And obviously, if my husband wasn't leaving the country, I'm not leaving the country because we don't believe in being apart. Like, no, I need to be here with you and you need to be with me. And so I wasn't going to go home, obviously, because he couldn't go home. And so eventually it got to the point where the airport shut down. So the airport is still shut down right now. There, even if I wanted to go home, I couldn't go home because the airport is essentially closed. And a lot of Americans are experiencing that across the world. Like they legit can't get home. And they are waiting for the U.S. government to help them get home. That is not my case because I am a legal resident of Kuwait, and I have residency, and my husband has residency, and so we don't have to leave the country. We just have to update our residency when it's time to update our residency. So it wasn't an issue for me. I had no plans to come back to America right now anyway because, you know, my husband's job is here. So there was no conversation about should we go back? Are we going to go back? No, because if my husband is not released from his contract, he can't leave. And you guys, I'm sorry I'm talking slow and crazy. It's 3:30 a.m. here. And the reason I'm going live so late is because the internet situation here has never been great. And now with everybody quarantined, the internet situation is even more terrible. And so it's been very difficult for me to get online, to get on Patreon, to, do my uploads, to do I have various entrepreneurial endeavors, some I don't even talk about online, and it's been very hard for me to get any work done because the internet has been really bad during the day, and at night it works pretty good. And so what I decided is I'm going to have to switch my schedule up and wake up early in the morning to get some tasks done, and then throughout the day, I'm going to have to do the tasks that I don't need to use the internet for. And then if I want to go live, I think I'm going to be going live in the wee hours of the morning, like at 3:30 a.m. When I'm trying to say my husband, I'm saying his husband. No, my husband is straight and only married to me. He's my husband. But I feel like I'm just tired because it's 3:30 a.m. But anyway, I wanted to do this video because I felt like it was important to update you on what's going on. I know a couple of you had questions. And so, yes, the airport is closed. The government's closed. There's some offices open, but everything's pretty much shut down here in Kuwait. Restaurants are closed, but we can order in. And tomorrow we're going to the grocery store. So I'm hoping to be able to do some vlogging so that you guys can see like what the food situation is like here in Kuwait, and just like to bring you inside what's going on. But like I said, I'm very pleased with the way the Kuwait government is handling this coronavirus outbreak. There's been no hysteria. There's been no fighting over toilet paper. There's been no, lots of testing. I think we have over 100 and something cases. I'm not really sure. Maybe 115, 120. I don't know. It's a little over 100. So they still are having new cases every day. Kuwait is a very small country, so it's not a big country. And I'm good. We're okay. We're okay. So that's like my update. Schools are closed to August. And I don't know as far as like what's going to happen as far as over the summer, or what, even if I'm going to go back to the US at all over the summer, because if the US closes its borders to travel, I know it hasn't done that yet, but the US could say citizens cannot travel. Uh, I doubt they would close their airports like other countries do because, America is a strong democracy, whereas in other countries, it's not like that. The government has way more power and control. And so it will vary from country to country. So yes, Lisa, schools are closed for the rest of the school year. So the school year will continue here in Kuwait in August. August is when the school year will continue. Yes, and I do believe I'm safer here in Kuwait. I feel very safe. I feel the government is caring and protective of all people, even though I'm not Kuwaiti and I'm American. I feel like we are treated very fairly here. I know that there are lots of people like to put out different stories of discrimination and racism, but here's the thing, there's racism and discrimination everywhere in the world. I don't think there's going to be a place that you could go. Even if I went to Africa, there would probably be racism, colorism, or discrimination there, or tribalism. I know a few people from Africa, and they talk about that. Like when Black people are saying, "Oh, I want to go back to Africa," it's like you realize that you won't fit in. Like people have cultural differences, and just because everybody has black skin, it doesn't mean we relate to each other. Okay, there are Black Brits, Black British people, Black people from the Caribbean, Black Africans, African Americans. Just because we have the same skin color, it doesn't mean that we relate to each other on every level. There are cultural differences. There are nationality differences. And so I think people think Black is Black, and no. Once you start traveling, you realize Black is not Black. Like there are distinct differences even amongst Black people around the world. And so I say that to say that there are cultural differences, and there are always going to be forms of discrimination. Classism, I feel abroad it's classism. Maybe in America, people think it's racism, whatever. But when you start traveling, I think you see it's classism. Classism is very prevalent in countries all over the world. I don't think it's more racism. I've never experienced racism here in Kuwait. I've never felt like somebody mistreated me because I was Black. Not one time. If I ever experienced it, I'll tell y'all after I leave the country because I would never disrespect the country. I believe people should respect the countries that they reside in. Even if you would have a bad experience, you should respect the country that you live in, and you should never speak negatively about a country that you live in. You should leave the country if you feel the country does not suit you. But you should never disrespect your country or anybody else's country. And so it's okay in your country to share your feelings about how the country is and, about the president. And that's what makes America great, is that we can say whatever we want about, the government or whatever. It's not like that in countries all over the world. And I think Americans sometimes don't understand respect because they don't have to respect their leaders in America. But in countries across the world, you do have to respect your leaders. You can't just be out here in these streets saying anything. You have to respect a country's laws. You have to respect their cultural differences. You have to respect how they dress, how they carry themselves. You have to be a respectful person to live abroad. If you are a disrespectful person, you are never going to survive abroad. And living abroad really opens your eyes to that, about how disrespectful Americans are sometimes, because we have so much freedom in our country. And I think that freedom sometimes lends to disrespect and acting in ways that are probably inappropriate. And when you are taken out of that setting and you realize, oh, like, here, this is how people are and this is their culture. It's a very eye-opening experience. And like I said, Kuwait has treated me good. I thrived here in this country, and I just I love living here, and I love living abroad, and I love traveling the world, and God has blessed me so much, and he's blessed my husband in ways that I can't talk about here on the internet. Financially, spiritually, we're doing so many things that I really wish I could talk about here, but people are so hateful on the internet, and the internet is just a really strange place in general. And so obviously I have to keep some things private and I can't share them here. But just know that we are thriving. We're thriving here, and we are here not only to make money and to set up our nest egg for retirement, but we're here to learn the culture, appreciate the people, appreciate religious differences, appreciate just experiencing this, because this does put us in a place of privilege. Anybody who's lived abroad or had the opportunity to live abroad, we are a privileged group to have the experience of living in a country that's not our homeland. And I've learned so much about myself, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm okay here. There's always risk living anywhere in the world. And so it's not some utopia. I have problems here, I have issues here all of the time, but the problems and issues aren't serious enough for me to be like, I want to leave or I don't like it here. Like, no, I mean, it's the same problems. Well, it's not the same problems I would have in America, but they're different problems, I would say. And so there's no perfect place on the earth, but Kuwait is really treating everyone really well, and everyone's trying to just obey the government and stay home and be safe. And I don't know what's going to happen with over the summer. I don't know. I just doubt I'll be able to come back to America, which makes me kind of sad because I want to see my mom, but I don't think it'll be good for us to travel if this coronavirus gets worse. And what if America says, okay, no international travel, and then I can't get back to Kuwait? Even if I separate with my husband and I go to America whenever the airport opens back up, because like I said, right now the airport is closed. I assume they will be opening soon. I'm not really sure when the airport is going to open again, but if I go to America when I can, um, and let's say America's like no more international flights because the coronavirus has gotten really bad, and then me and my husband are separated. Y'all know I'm going to start hyperventilating if I'm separated from my husband. I've been with my husband for almost, I don't even know what, 17 years. We have never been away from each other more than 3 days. The whole time I've been married to him. I think maybe we've been away from each other maybe a week, maybe 5 days tops, and the only time we're away from each other is when I have business. So there are times where I went to conferences and events, but we don't separate because married people are meant to be together. Okay? That's how you keep affairs away. That's how you keep um people out of your marriage. That's how you stay strong. That's how you stay connected, by remaining with your spouse, by being together wherever they are. You need to be, unless they need to go away, unless they're in the armed forces, unless they're in the military, unless you're on a business trip. Other than that, you need to be with your spouse, with your family, in your home. And so my mom raised me like that. She raised me for me and my husband to be together. And so I would be devastated if I got stuck in America and I couldn't be with my husband. Like, that's my dude. Okay? That's my best friend. That's my confidant. You know, I can't, no. I can only live without you if you die. That's the only way I can live without my husband if he dies and goes home to be with the Lord. And then I will accept that because we don't have control over when the Lord calls us home. And we have to know, you know, he's my husband is only on loan to me and I'm on loan to him until the Lord calls us home. So I will accept if the Lord calls him home, as painful as that may be. Other than that, we're going to be together till the end. Okay. So I just wanted, that's all I have to say, you guys. I just wanted to come and tell you I'm safe here. I feel very safe here. You know, I don't know what will happen tomorrow or next week or 2 weeks from now. The airport is closed. Most of the government has shut the whole country down. The whole country is just on lockdown. But the government is working, you know, day and night. The medical field workers, God bless all of the people who are, you know, helping sick people and who are risking their lives to help other people. God bless Kuwait. God bless America. And God bless all the countries all over the world who are suffering through this pandemic. Um, I'm not fearful. I'm not an anxious person. I don't have a lot of anxiety. I've never been a person that's like anxiety driven. Um I obviously I felt anxiety before, but I'm not. The older I get, the less anxious I get, you know? I think when I was younger, um before I understood how to deal with emotion, how to how to compartmentalize, um, get stronger in my faith. I think I would be high anxiety, but I don't struggle with like depression and I don't struggle with anxiety like that. Like sometimes I'm anxious, like if it's about a certain situation, if I'm going through something, I might feel anxious, but I'm just not an anxious person. So I don't feel scared or anything or like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. The only time I'm really anxious is when I fly. I don't like to fly. And so I get really, really anxious. Um, but other than flying, I'm not an anxious person. If we come, it's a permanent move. I hope you can be our Kuwait transition mentor. Oh, I would love, yeah, I would love to anybody coming to Kuwait. It may take me a minute to get back to you, but definitely email me, inbox me. I'm always here to meet people. I meet people all the time who moved to Kuwait, and so I would love to like help you out where I can. I'm not an expert or anything, but I would love to help you out where I can. All right, so that's it, you guys. I just want to let you know that I'm okay. We're going to the grocery store tomorrow, so that'll be the first time that we've been out in a couple days. So the only time we leave the house is to go to the grocery store or to go to the Bacala store, like it's like a corner store next door. And I'm just in the house all day, which I'm pretty used to being in the house. Hey, Kat. I'm pretty used to being in the house anyway because obviously I'm a stay-at-home wife. I stay at home. I'm used to just being here in the house and sleeping in a lot of mornings, and so I don't feel odd being in the house. It doesn't feel like anything has changed really. And like I said, Kuwait is good. We good over here. Like we got food. Um, there's nothing going on that like concerns me too much. Obviously, I don't want to catch the coronavirus, but if I do, it is what it is, and I'm just gonna have to pray that thing off me. So I'm just praying that me and my husband don't get infected, don't get exposed to anybody with it, but I'm not too concerned about it. Your life is in God's hand. Your life is always in God's hand. You can get into the car and it could be your last day on this earth. You didn't know though. You could be standing on the side of the road and you could have an aneurysm, you don't you people are so comfortable in their life. And when something like this happens, it's just funny how everybody's buying up all the hand sanitizer and buying up all the wipes and buying 5,000 pounds of toilet paper. And it's like, y'all didn't put this much consideration into who you had a kid with. Y'all don't even put this much consideration into who you give your body to, who you swap liquids with. Y'all don't put this much effort into like living your life like it's your last day every day. And it's just odd that people only think about death or um what's going on in their life when something catastrophic is happening. And I feel like me, I'm kind of always thinking about like, I don't want to say I'm always thinking about death, but I'm always really aware that my time here on the earth is short. Let me say that. I'm always really aware of that. And I pray that God gives me a long life and that me and my husband grow old together. But when I look at his parents, his father died at the age of, I think his father was 54. And I'm sure his parents had hoped they would grow old together and all of that, but that didn't happen. And so while you pray to God for a long life, you pray for God to, help you live out your purpose and do your work. You don't know when that last day will be. And I think that it's interesting to see how people panic, but they don't panic in everyday. You should be panicking every day. If you don't know God, you should be panicking. If you're not taking care of yourself, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we should be panicking. So we shouldn't just be panicking when there's like something crazy going on in the world. We shouldn't be panicking, but I'm trying to make a point. We should be aware that all of our lives are like a blink. Literally, it's like a blink. You think you have time. You're 21, and then before you know it, you're 45. It's like I'm thinking like, dang, in a few years, I'll be 45. Who will I be when I turn 45? Like, what will my life be when I turn 45? And so you just, life goes by so quick. And so love on your family, love on your kids, love your community, love God, take care of yourself, make good decisions. Don't rely on your hand sanitizer, rely on your Bible or your Quran or whatever it is that you believe in. I respect people of all religions. I respect everybody, you know. So whether you call God Allah or whether you call God Jesus, I'm not here to, tell people what to believe. I just tell you what I believe. And so I think that we need to become more spiritually connected. And I think that will relieve your anxiety, your depression, and your stress when you become more connected with God. Um, I'm not saying you're never going to be fearful, you're never going to be worried, but what I'm saying is you're going to be able to handle it in a way that you just have peace. And I'm going to end on this note because I've said what I had to say. But I'm going to end on this note and tell you that my grandmother always, before she died, she used to always tell me, like, the number one thing you want in this life is like not money, not success, not fame, not anything. My grandmother used to say, you want peace, because you see people with money, with fame, with success, and they seem to have everything but peace. And I'm just so glad that God has blessed my life and He's given me parents that love me, giving me a husband that loves me, that takes care of me, giving me friends and a sister, and so many people that uplift me. And more than anything, He's given me peace. And I have peace with my life. I have peace when things are going right, and I have peace when things are going wrong. And I trust that God understands what I'm going through and that He understands the desires of my heart. And I am on the journey to stay very connected to Him, no matter what people are doing in the world, no matter what they believe, no matter what they're saying. I don't care. I know that God is what keeps me stable and rooted. And so I thank you all for watching this update video. Um, and I guess I will see you next time. And I'm just going to read what you guys are saying before I get out of here. Someone said something about they're in Atlanta. Um, she said people are losing their mind. Lady African said people are losing their mind in America. Yeah, I've seen some stories on the news, and it's so sad what's how people are acting like. And I know it's not just in America, it's in the UK. I saw someone fighting over toilet paper in the UK the other day, and I was just like totally disgusted. Like, you guys, you don't even need toilet paper. I mean, some people are really just idiots. And I hate to be mean and call names, but it's like some people really are idiots. Like, literally, you can use a washcloth if you have to. If it gets down to it and you don't have any toilet paper, you can use wipes, you can use a washcloth. It's not even that serious. People are just so absolutely dumb till it's unbelievable. Here in Atlanta, everything is basically closed down. People are starting to get a little more irritable each day. And yes, and right now we need to be loving, not irritable. Like, we need to be helping people who need us. You know, how can we help others if we're all irritable and mean? And it's just it's ridiculous. All right, guys. So that's my update. Yes, the airport is closed here. I couldn't come back to America if I wanted to, but if Trump send that check, I need to figure out how to get mine. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.